All right, so UFC Buckley versus Colby Covington has now been concluded, and we are going to go through the entire card from top to bottom, giving you some analysis and giving you the results of the entire card. So, first fight of the night, Piera Rodriguez taking on Josephine Kunsun. This was a unanimous decision win for Piera Rodriguez. The next fight after that was Davy Grant versus Ramon Tavares. Davy Grant was doing great with front kicks and just using the distance and the range in this fight. Moves up 14 and 17 up to the 135 division. Miranda Maverick taking on Jamie Lynn Hort. This was a three-round decision, I'm sorry. Miranda Maverick had the height disadvantage, but in any regard was able to use her aggression, her forward motion to win the fight, and that was all that she wrote from there. So moving on to the card of the night, let's see here. Hold on just a second here. Oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. So right after Miranda Maverick, it was Felipe Lima taking on Miles Johns. So great fight right here. Most of the takedowns were on the part of Lima. That's what won him the fight. 42% out of his strikes, 60 out of 140. No takedowns for Miles Johns. The grappling won this one for Lima. Sean Woodson, constant boxing, constant just jabs in your face, using his length, using his size. 53% out of the total strikes that he had, 70 strikes that he threw, sort of equal to Padilla. The only difference was the percentage was on Sean's side. What made that a significant difference was the fact that he was able to out-jab him, use his height, use his reach. That was all she wrote. First round knockout with just 2 seconds left for Sean Woodson. Joel Alvarez, the same thing. Knocked out Jakar Close in the first round. Okay, Jakar Close had one takedown, could not keep him down. The striking of Joel was just too much. He was able to finish him literally in the first round. Okay, first round for that fight. Flying knee. And following up with some ground strikes right after. Michael Johnson versus Ottoman Azatar. Now, obviously, like most high-level fights, they're going to have a feeling-out process. They're going to look like they're trying to see what each other is going to do or this and that. And then when you catch openings, it is exactly what you see out of Michael Johnson. He's capable of knocking people out like this. He's knocked out Dustin Poirier. And as a result, he gets a right hook, following up with some ground and pound. A little controversy there. A lot of people thought that it was a little too much right after the fact. But either way, great win for Michael Johnson. Moves up 23 and 19, a veteran, right? Just a journeyman of a fighter, but at the same time, a veteran of the sport. He's fought everybody. He's 50-50 with a lot of the people that he fights. And it's just really what it is with Michael Johnson. But nonetheless, he shows up to fights like this. He shines through, especially against Ottoman Azatar. But shout out to Michael Johnson for this win. Next fight, unanimous decision by Navajo Sterling against Tuco Tucois. Really interesting name, right? That's the beginning of the prelims. I'm sorry, the main card. 3 takedowns for Tucois, yet didn't win. Why is that? Maybe the percentage of the striking. Navajo Sterling was using his height, his reach, to get the job done, and I think ultimately that's what won him the fight. Daniel Marcos, undefeated, remains undefeated against Adrian Yanez. 3-round decision on this one. 2 takedowns out of 4, 60% in his striking percentage. Significant strikes, 86 that he landed on Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez just didn't have enough of the striking percentage or enough of the grappling to really win this fight. Daniel Marcos remains undefeated. Justin Jacoby knocks out Vitor Petrino in the 3rd round. Now, Vitor looks like an absolute unit. but that's not what wins fights. The fact that this brother right here, Dustin Jacoby, was a former K1 top level kickboxer, really helped him along the way. So, third round knockout by Dustin Jacoby. And how did he do it? How did Dustin Jacoby win this fight right here? With a right cross. Laid him out right there. Manel Kape, ground strikes, third round against Bruno Silva. Now, obviously, we know that Muhammad Mokaev yesterday just won a fight in Brave FC in Bahrain. But Manel Kape lost to him, and yet Manel Kape is here. So it's just really interesting how all of this unfolds. Manel Kape looked really great in this fight. The way that he moved up and down, he looked like Conor McGregor in 2016. The way that he was dodging in and out, the way that he had his hands down, the way that he was using a lot of elusive movements. So big ups to Manel Kape on this one and this win. Cub Swanson taking on Billy Quintero. Right cross for Cub Swanson. He lays him out. I mean, it was an even fight at that point, and then out of nowhere, Cub Swanson takes him out with that heavy shot. No takedowns for Cub Swanson. 3 out of 11, Billy shot for the takedowns, but ultimately Cub Swanson won this fight. Now, on to the main event of the evening, Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Colby Covington had a hard time trying to get Joaquin Buckley down, and I thought to myself, you know what? There's something very suspicious going on in this fight. Why is it that Joaquin Buckley is considered the heavy favorite when we know everything that we know about Colby Covington? Colby only loses to guys in championship levels or top contender levels. Could it be that Joaquin Buckley is a top contender? This is his 4th win in a row in welterweight right now, so who knows? As for Colby Covington, it was a doctor stoppage, just a lot of blood, and the blood was so gruesome to the point where Joaquin Buckley had his blood on his knees, if you can really put that in perspective. So, nonetheless, it was a great night of fights. What's next for Colby? Where does Colby go from here? Does Colby become a gatekeeper? Because that's the trajectory that he's going. Is he going to retire from here? Who knows? We don't know. We're not going to know until sometime down the road or maybe in a couple of weeks. But nonetheless, this was the last fight of 2024 in UFC. Next week, what do you got? Tyson Fury versus Usyk. And then, obviously, the holidays right after that. Oh, and then there's Ryzen in December 31st, New Year's Eve. There's always that. But either way, great night of fights. Was very surprised of the results. I obviously had Colby Covington winning this fight, and I thought that he was going to win this fight, but just the way that he attempted 8 takedown attempts, Joaquin stuffing all of them, and there was even one point where Joaquin was on a mount position. He let go. He either let go or Colby may have alleviated from it. But either way, staying on the ground would not have been the best decision for Buckley. But what did Buckley do in the process? Well, he went and finished Colby Covington. He finished him with a right cross. With a doctor stoppage and a cut right above his eye. It was really bad. I felt bad for Colby. But he walked out with Hulk Hogan. He walked out with Chael Sonnen. Almost as a way to symbolize the fact that he wanted to let people know he's still a star even if he were to lose this fight. I don't know. I felt like Colby knew something that we didn't. And maybe the rest of the world knew something that we didn't. Maybe an underlying injury. I don't bet. I don't do gambling or any kind of thing like that. But the way that they were conveying the betting lines, it seemed sort of odd and weird. But either way, I'm happy for Joaquin Buckley. I'm happy for the UFC for the rest of the year. And I will see you guys next year in the next fights, next fight nights, pay-per-views, and everything in between. Oh, and of course, I'm going to be here for the boxing. UFC Fury versus Usyk. That's the last of the UFC fight. I'm sorry. Usyk versus Fury, and then there's Ryzen. So that's what we got to look forward to. Great night of fights, and from here on, even though it's the last fight of the year, the UFC goes on in next year, and then there's UFC 311, so on and so forth. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of the fights tonight, because I did, and it was fun to see Colby Covington in the main event, and Joaquin Buckley. It's always fun to see him get down and have one of the biggest wins of his career currently right now. So like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one, inshallah.